So, tell me how you got started going into business for yourself.
Well, I had worked at several agencies here in Memphis in the advertising industry, and basically, I think Memphis is a great city to live in. I'm not so sure that it's the most burgeoning, creative town for advertising. There's definitely some great agencies, but you always have to strike a balance. The more creative a place is, the less money you're going to get paid, and the more profitable a place is, generally the less creatively fulfilling the work is. So I had arrived at a point where I was very tired of the clients that I was working on at the current agency that I was at, and decided that I could make as much money as I was already making and be more fulfilled if I went out on my own. So that's when I decided to do it. Was just having a paycheck wasn't enough at that point. And there's a lot of other things that I want to do and enjoy doing. As you witnessed when you first showed up, I've got my new guitar that I'm unwrapping. I'm also a musician, so there's other things I want to pursue that a 9-to-5 job at an agency is just kind of sucking the life out of.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, as far as like going and getting customers, so how do you go about doing that?
Well, stay. I don't tell them to stay. I've cold called some people. I've gotten a lot of referrals because I've been in this industry in Memphis for almost coming up on 9 years. So, well, no, not that long. That's crazy talk. More like 8 years, I guess. And so I've worked with a lot of agencies. I've done freelance for a lot of businesses in town over that time, just at random. And so I have a little bit of a reputation, which is good, and so I've banked on that. So a large portion of my clientele comes from other agencies. I get work from Overflow, where they don't have the manpower to handle it at that time, or the great part about being freelance is it might be something that an agency can't justify working on. It's not enough money to justify them taking the project on because they can't pay for an account executive and the overhead and the production manager and stuff. So for me, I do it all, even copywriting. So it's more cost effective for smaller projects to go with a freelancer in a lot of cases. And then the cold calling that I referred to earlier, I've got 2 or 3 clients that I've gotten purely on just being interested in their industry and calling them up and kind of basically hounding them, letting them know that they did have a need for my services, and pursuing it from there. And one of them is paying off currently. I'm actually working with a classic Bronco parts manufacturer in East Tennessee, which is awesome. You can get a little brief snippet of the rust bucket out back if you want for this. But I'm working on an old Bronco. Yet another thing that I have time to do now, sort of, that I've left my old job.
Nice. What sort of challenges did you face when you first got started? Was it seamless, or did you have to?
It was sort of seamless in that I did save up for a number of months before I did it to make sure that I had at least 3 or 4 mortgage payments on this house because I didn't want to go into it just completely blind. And I also had some assurance of work from an agency that I've partnered up with out of Atlanta, who provides me with a lot of work, which is great. And they're really fun to work with. So it was kind of a combination of planning on my part, knowing that it's what I wanted to do, and then waiting for the time to be right before I made the jump.
Nice. And if you, have you made any mistakes or anything like that? Have you run into anything that would, if you could go back and do it differently, that would help?
So far, no glaring mistakes. I think the one thing, I haven't even been doing this a year. I've been doing it about 8 months. So I think the big thing right now, I'm supporting myself, making enough money to live how I was living before I started this endeavor, which to me counts as success. I'm not terribly business-minded, and I've told people many times, if you get to know me for any length, eventually I'll say I'll never be rich because I don't understand money, and that's very true. I do understand it. I know that this costs this and that. I'm not like Rain Man or something, but it's basically I don't know how to grow it. I don't want to bend my brain power towards figuring that out. And I think that if there were ever a failing that I had and something that I would want to overcome as far as running a business, is that I do I do want to be truly profitable. I do want to be able to someday feel very relaxed and not like at any moment things could come crashing in due to circumstances out of my control. You know, I think that's the key, and I think that's what everybody wants. But for me, ultimately, that's what that's the thing that's always hanging over my head is I should be planning better. I should have business projections. I need to hit this by this date. But I mean, so far the money has been rolling in at a steady rate that my bank account keeps increasing, and I'm not going negative from what I had at the beginning. So I mean, it's like it's growing. My profit is growing, but I don't have actual tangible numbers that I can attribute that to. And I think that's what my biggest problem is. If I regretted anything or need to improve anything, that's probably it.
Cool. Do you have any advice for somebody that's considering going out on their own?
You know, it depends on the business. I mean, as far as this business goes, I think if you've got some talent and you've got a good work ethic and you finish things on deadline and you do what the client is asking, for this industry, I mean, it's pretty cut and dried. You can do it. I don't know that everybody should be a freelancer. I think some people really need the discipline and the structure of an agency, and I think that's why it's still a viable system. And some people are never going to want to pay for a freelancer's services. They'll undervalue you. So as far as going into other businesses, I have no advice whatsoever. I have nothing for you. I have had some business ideas of late that I've kind of tentatively looked at pursuing outside of advertising and design. And I think I've actually told you maybe about one or two of them. We won't get into it here, but basically just like there's a whole other skill set involved with that I'm just not versed in. So,
gotcha. All right. Can you think of anything else?
Anything else? Don't let yourself be trapped in a place that you think sucks and that you are not happy. Seriously, I mean, the economy's down, but if you have the desire and passion to do something, you can do it. That's my advice, is don't ever let good enough be good enough.
Awesome. So that's Ben's advice, and I guess click on the link under this and learn more about what Ben does. Anyway, hope you learned something.